How does the greatest team of a generation collapse in 90 minutes? This wasn't just a defeat. This was the end of an empire. 4 years earlier, they ruled the world. 8 years of dominance, 3 major trophies, one style that changed football forever. And then, in one night, it was over. What happened to Spain in 2014? Did football finally solve them, or did they solve themselves into extinction? We revisit the dynasty that believed it could never fall, and the moment it did. In 2008, something shifted in world football. Spain were not traditionally known as winners. For decades, they were the nearly men. Beautiful football, painful exits. A quarterfinal curse hung over them like a superstition. But under a new generation of players and managers, something different emerged. Not just talent, identity. Between 2008 and 2012, Spain achieved something no international side had ever done before: win 3 consecutive major tournaments: Euro 2008, World Cup 2010, Euro 2012. Their style had a name: tiki-taka. Short passes, endless movement, possession as control, the ball as oxygen. Midfield generals dictated tempo like conductors, defenders built attacks, strikers often barely touched the ball because the objective was domination, not chaos. Spain didn't just win, they suffocated opponents. The world tried to copy them, the world failed to stop them. And by 2014, they arrived in Brazil not just as champions, but as footballing royalty. On paper, the 2014 squad looked terrifying. Champions League winners filled the bench, experience mixed with youth. But beneath the surface, warning signs were flashing. Some key players were now in their 30s. Their club seasons had been long and physically draining. The intensity required for possession dominance was unforgiving, and age does not negotiate. More importantly, the rest of the world had been studying Spain for 6 years. Opponents had gathered data, patterns, weaknesses. Tiki-taka had once been revolutionary, now it was predictable. High pressing became more aggressive across Europe, transitional football became lethal, direct play returned with speed and physicality. Spain were still playing chess, the rest of the world had started playing blitz. But when you've dominated for 8 years, doubt feels like betrayal. So Spain doubled down on identity. They believed the system wasn't the problem. The problem, they thought, was execution. The draw did not favor them. Their group included the Netherlands, finalists from 2010 and still carrying scars from that defeat. It included Chile, one of the most aggressive pressing sides in world football, and Australia, physically relentless. It was not an easy path, but Spain were champions. Champions do not fear. June 13, 2014, Salvador, Brazil. Spain versus the Netherlands, a rematch of the 2010 final. The game began as expected. Spain controlled possession, calm, measured, familiar. They even took the lead from the penalty spot. For a moment, everything felt normal. Then came the equalizer. A long ball, a perfect run, a header that seemed to defy gravity, and suddenly something shifted. The Netherlands stopped respecting the aura. They pressed higher, faster, stronger. Spain's backline looked vulnerable in open space. The midfield that once suffocated opponents now struggled to recover defensively. Then came the second-half collapse. Transition after transition, directness, ruthlessness. 5 goals. 5. The scoreboard read 5-1. The reigning world champions had not just lost, they had been dismantled. And for the first time in years, Spain looked human. What went wrong? The answer is uncomfortable. Nothing changed. Spain attempted to dominate possession as always, but possession without penetration became sterile. Their defensive line pushed high as always, but aging legs could not recover against rapid counters. Their build-up play required perfect technical execution, but under intense pressing, small errors became catastrophic. Football had evolved. Germany, Chile, Netherlands, they embraced speed, verticality, and physicality alongside technical skill. Spain remained loyal to purity, and purity became rigidity. If the Netherlands exposed Spain's vulnerabilities, Chile exploited them mercilessly. Chile pressed like a swarm. They cut passing lanes before Spain could establish rhythm. They forced turnovers in dangerous areas. For the first time in the tiki-taka era, Spain looked uncomfortable on the ball. Possession statistics still leaned Spain's way, but the danger did not. Chile scored twice. Spain were eliminated after just 2 games. The defending champions were out before the knockout stage. An era ended not with a dramatic semifinal, but a group stage exit. Dominance creates habits. Habits create comfort. Comfort creates blindness. Spain's players had spent 6 years believing their style was superior to all others. And for 6 years, it was. But evolution in sport is relentless. The margins at the top are microscopic. 1% slower, 1 press mistimed, 1 recovery run late. Multiply that across 11 players. The difference becomes collapse. Spain did not become a bad team overnight. They became slightly slower in a tournament that punished delay. Another factor loomed in the background: exhaustion. Many Spanish players had endured brutal club seasons, domestic league battles, European competitions, international friendlies. The tiki-taka system required constant movement, sharp angles, and positional discipline. At club level, players had already begun facing intense pressing systems. The tactical chessboard was changing. By the time Brazil arrived, some legs were heavy, and the World Cup punishes fatigue mercilessly. Here is the uncomfortable question: did Spain fail, or did they simply reach the natural end of a cycle? Every dynasty ends. Brazil 1970, France 1998 to 2000, Italy 2006. Sustaining excellence across tournaments is nearly impossible. Spain stretched their peak across 3 major competitions. Perhaps 2014 was not a collapse. Perhaps it was inevitability. But football rarely allows romantic conclusions. The scoreboard said 5-1. History remembers the exit. In the years that followed, Spain rebuilt. Younger players entered the system. Possession football evolved into something more hybrid. The dogma softened. But 2014 remained a scar. For many veterans, it was the last World Cup appearance. Legacies were already secure, but the final image lingered, not lifting a trophy, walking off after defeat. Spain's golden generation changed football forever. They proved that control could conquer chaos. They inspired academies across continents. They influenced club football at the highest level. But their fall in 2014 teaches something equally important. No system survives untouched. Innovation must continue. Identity must adapt. Dominance must evolve. Because in football, if you stand still, you fall. There is a tendency to reduce 2014 to humiliation, but history is kinder when viewed fully. Spain were not too good to fail. They were too successful to notice change. They did not lose because they were inferior. They lost because the world caught up. And in sport, being caught is enough. The golden generation did not collapse. It expired. And perhaps that is the price of greatness. Will history repeat itself? Drop your comment and subscribe to Final Whistle Flies.